are back for episode 15 of Co-Video Live TV. We are going to take my temperature first for the safety of my guest to make sure everything is cool. 99.3. Uh-oh. I did run down here really quickly because I not only had to cook dinner, I had to clean up after dinner. I don't know how that works out. But, what did we make? Helped my son Mitch make poplars. If you're a Futurama fan, we made poplars this evening. Not the tree, P-O-P-L-A-R, but P-O-P-P-L-E-R, poplars. Look them up. They made with chicken. Okay, so we're going to, without further ado, bring on our first guest here. As I mentioned, there we go. I just want to make sure you're back. You're back. From our virtual green room, let me bring up the audio and bring in our first guest. We want to give a nice Co-Video Live TV welcome back to Rene Scarce. Welcome back, Rene.
Hey, Ron. How's it going?
It is going well. We are, let me turn that up a little bit. All right, we are doing well. How have things been going over at your place?
They've been going as good as can be. We're hanging in there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Last time I had you on, I sent you a text right after the show and said, thank you for appearing on the show. Really appreciate it. And you promptly texted back and said, we're on our way to the emergency room. What exactly happened, if you want to share that story with the audience?
So, funny story, kind of. That day, earlier in the day, I have a friend who owns a couple gyms, and he was selling some of his dumbbells. And I said, oh, okay, we're going to buy some so that we can kind of stay active. And I don't know, I had high hopes, I guess, for these dumbbells. So I bought them that day, and I had them sitting on a footstool in my basement, which is where I'm at right now. When I was on the show, I was down in my basement. And so after the show, Matt brought my baby down, Tatum, and they were watching the playback of the video. And next thing I know, she starts screaming, and she had walked over to the footstool and rolled the 10-pound dumbbell onto her foot. Now she's like 1.5 the size of just 1-year-old. She's teeny tiny. Her foot instantly swelled, turned purple. She would not put it down. She was screaming bloody murder. So, we ended up in the ER that night, which was very interesting. I actually called Kim Biggerstaff, who you've had on a couple times, yeah, because I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I take her? Like, do we go to the hospital? Is that, like, what do we do? And so she told us that, she can't tell us one way or another, like if we should go or not. But she said, if we do go, be prepared that only one of us would be allowed back. They wouldn't let Matt and I both back with her. So that was kind of different because we're used to just being together if we have to take one of our kids in. Mm-hmm. So then I called my doctor because I was like, well, what do we do? And so she had us send her a picture, and she sent us to, my doctor actually works at a Franciscan in Dyer. So we had to go there, and it was a little crazy. Like, before you walk into the ER, everybody had to have their temperature taken to make sure that we weren't sick.
Right. Yeah, heard about that yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, just as Kim said, they would not let Matt in. Matt couldn't even go into the waiting room. Like, we got our temperatures taken outside. And then Tatum and I got to go in. Matt had to go to the car. And they said, which I thought this was, obviously there's a shortage on masks, but I said, is there something, should I be covering her mouth, or like, what do I do? And yeah, they said, no, don't worry about it. Only our sick people need masks, which was kind of interesting. So, and then their triage room, it looked like, do you remember that tent in ET, that everything, like, it was really crazy and like people in suits? Like, that's for real. They really were like that in this triage room that we didn't go into. They sent us to a different room. Right. But that room, it was like all airtight, sealed, and that's where they put the people that that they think might have it. So
right. Suspicion now. Yeah, and mm-hmm. Things have changed a little bit. I imagine we had Kim on yesterday, and we're talking a little bit about it. I thought it might have gotten a little bit crazier in a couple weeks, but apparently things are kind of hanging fairly calm. A good, decent supply of equipment and everything there. So that was encouraging to know. If I end up in the emergency room for any other reason than suspected COVID, right?
Yeah, they were set. The ER doctor did tell us. Now, I will say they were great about kind of getting us in and out. I could smell how sanitized the room was when we
Right.
went in. I did ask them for a sanitizing wipe, and I wiped it all down myself too, because just, kind of, I don't know, I just had to have that control, I guess, to know that it was clean. And but the ER doctor came in, and luckily her foot was not broke. I guess baby's feet are more cartilage than bone, which is odd. Not odd, but another
Good.
interesting fact. But yeah, so her foot wasn't broke, but I said, we were like a 50-50. I didn't know if we should bring her in because I didn't want to get anybody sick, and I also didn't want her walking around on a broken foot. And he's like, yeah, that's a valid concern. I would have that same, like, not sure what to do if it was my kid either. And he said, by next week or the week after, that they probably wouldn't have even let us in, that they would have told us to go to an ortho the next day and to
Wow.
wait.
And so no fracture, no cast or nothing, just trying as
Nothing.
much as you can, rest it, stay off it, right?
Yeah. And that's hard. She's one, so she wants to move around, and she has walking on it, but I'll notice, like, she'll walk and she'll play, and then she'll sit and she takes it and holds it to her chest and hugs it. So still hurts her, but she's still going.
I hope that everything is secured for post-show right now. You've got no weights up on higher places and for potentially foot-crushing heights. No? Good. Good to hear.
Everything's good. Everything's good now.
Well,
you learn your lesson. You'd think 4 kids in, I would know not to put weights on a footstool, but
right.
You learn something new every day.
Well, that's why we checked in with you originally, was because we wanted to see how it was going with a family of 6, 4 kids, in a range of ages. We've been through the spring break at the school, and we're into day 2 of return to e-learning. How is that going for you guys over there?
Yeah, this week has been easier, I think. I said last time that, once I put a schedule in place, I think it was a little bit easier. And so we did that again. And yesterday and today they were finished with all their work by noon. And at first they were mad, like, why are you waking me up at 8 o'clock? This isn't real school. I'm like, no,
Same.
real school. Like, we have to treat it like real school. And then when they were finished by noon and they had the whole day to, mess around, do whatever they want, then they were happy. They were like, oh, okay, thanks, Mom.
Right.
So
I got to take a second here to note some of the people on board. Mitch Smolin, I see, is there. Suzanne Smolin. The Smolins have outnumbered. Jessica Roberts, the only non-Smolin commenter in the chat. Hello to everybody. Yeah, we were talking a little bit before about how most people are getting used to this. It's become somewhat normal after a couple, 2, 3 weeks or whatever. We're in our 3rd week now, yet also having the time to let the kind of the seriousness of it sink in. It's less of a dreamlike state. You're kind of awakened to what is going on, and now anxiously awaiting the next whatever, right?
Yeah, it's in the beginning, it seemed so far away, like, oh, yeah, that's happening in China and Italy and, southern Indiana, and then it was Portage, and now it's Highland and Cherville. And so yeah, it's getting a little more real, but I think you're right. Like, we're all kind of coming to terms with it and just going with the flow and getting used to, washing your hands. I made a little station in my garage today of, like, where I bring my groceries in, and they don't even come in the house. I wipe them all down and then I bring them in the house. So I think we're all just kind of like this new normal.
Yeah, getting used to it. Getting used to it. You mentioned you mentioned the difference of impact, or the difference in the way that people are interpreting or reacting, possibly based on their ages. You had a funny story there.
So the perspective, I think, is really funny. So I have an 11, almost 12-year-old boy, and so he is on TikTok a lot. So he comes running in the room and he's like, Mom, do you know that 8 million people in Indiana have the COVID, and they're confirmed cases? And I was like, oh, probably not 8 million people in Indiana, and they definitely aren't all positive. And I was like, let me guess, TikTok told you this. And he's like, yeah, can you believe it? And I'm like,
yes, most TikTok. Reliable source of information on the internet after co-video live TV. Yeah.
Everything he said, like, Mom, can you believe it? TikTok told me. I'm like, oh gosh, stay off TikTok. So then, like, a couple hours later, I'll read an article on Facebook about, some crazy astronomical number of people in their 60s who are really, really sick. And I'll call my mom and I'll say, Mom, you have to, like, make sure you don't go to the store. If you need anything, I'll go for you. And she'll be like, oh my gosh, Rene, stay off Facebook. So, it's kind of funny because I guess Facebook's my TikTok, and she's, in her 60s, and, she's totally like, I am woman, hear me roar. It's not going to get me. I'm fine. Don't worry about it.
Right.
She stays off the internet. She stays off Facebook. She's like, it is what it is. You know, there's nothing we could do about it, and nothing that we read is we don't know if it's true or not. So just stay off of it.
Have you
So
got news on during the day? Do you ever take a chance to look or read news other than you have your reliable sources that you go to? What are you doing there?
no, I don't watch the news ever. Like I am it's funny because Matt and my mom watch the news and they keep up with the news, they keep up with any sort of politics, they keep up, and I just don't. So most of my news source is them or an article that I've seen. If I see it shared like 7 or 8 times on Facebook, then I might read it because
You
I'm like,
might, you
oh,
might check out. Right. Yeah,
this
I had
one
said
might be important.
I said before that there are thousands of sources of news, and the co-video live TV was going to be entertainment, but that hopefully the intelligent guests that I have on and trust with good information are it should indirectly be a source of reliable information. I hope, but not hopefully not your only source.
Yeah, exactly. I just, I do the typical just wash your hands, and, that kind of stuff, the stuff that makes sense to me. And then everything else I try because I can be one of those that like I fall in the rabbit hole and I can get really like obsessive about it. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm like, we're all
Yeah.
fine. Just
Yep.
stay clean and keep the germs. Stay in your house. Stay
Yep.
home. I mean, we're not staying in our house. We are going outside, but
I'm not
stay
picking on
home.
you. Yep, not picking on you, but noting that and hearing it in reporting that, yeah, this is can have a huge strain on people, and it could show existing or hidden, let's say, anxiety issues possibly
Oh,
in
for
people who didn't
sure.
normally think. So it's pushing a lot of people. But we're trying to play a part here and in connecting people, through social media, just to try and, like I said in that opening video, lower the collective anxiety. And it's kind of coming true. So hopefully that you being on is helping. Uh, Move that mission forward. How about that? Hey, you mentioned we talked a little bit about getting crafty. A lot of people acquiring some stuff. I know we're not sponsored by Cricket, but you recently got one. I've got one. Been making
Yeah.
T-shirts and stuff. What have you been doing?
Yeah, that's like all we're doing. It's kind of fun. I've been making t-shirts, we've been making cups. I made a little wine glass yesterday that says I'm practicing my social distancing. I thought that could be good. Even when it's all over, I still will hold my cup up and tell you to stay 6 feet away.
Souvenir.
Um,
It could work for people that you really don't want to talk to.
right, exactly. And I'm making it's you're in the house, so it's boring, but you get things done. So I like rearranged my linen closets and I labeled the shelves because what else is there to do?
Right, right. I've seen that. I've seen some of that T-shirt signs, label. Hopefully some of the signs that people are putting on their walls are not these cutesy, whatever, "Good morning, gorgeous" or something that it's legitimate. Like put your dishes in the sink or somebody take the trash out. Let's keep it real. We could probably
Yeah.
start something like that and sell a lot of them.
And so I bet we could. That's our new mission, Ron. There we go.
All right, Renee, I want to thank you for coming on the show again. It had been about 2 weeks since we checked in, so
Yep.
maybe we can give you a call back, give you a Skype back, and see how things are going.
All right. Anytime, Ron. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, Renee. I am going to roll up the logo, roll out the guest. I hate giving play by play. I watched the show later and realized I just kind of talk too much when I'm doing stuff. Let's just let the production speak for itself. We'll be right back with our second guest. All right, and we are back. Sorry for a little bit of a snafu there. I think we've got the guest to guest transition down a little bit. I was timing it the other day, and it was about 2 minutes, a little too long. So, nonetheless, without further ado, let's bring on our second guest of the night. We're going to get a little perspective from the Denver, Colorado area. Let's give a nice co-video live TV welcome to Mr. Jim Kingen. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well. What's going on out there in the Denver area? Are you in Denver proper? What city or town are you in?
Actually, Westminster. I'm about 15 minutes from downtown Denver.
Okay. All right. What's the latest out in Denver? You guys on a local school and otherwise lockdown? How long have you been under those kind of conditions?
Yeah, we went on lockdown about 2 weeks ago, and kids, actually a little over 2 weeks ago, the kids started their spring break a week early, and today was actually their first day of distance learning, which has been a learning process for all of us.
For everybody. All right. Yeah. So I talked to some previous guests about that as well, that it gives you a little bit more respect for teachers and what teachers do at home, right?
Oh, yeah. And, whoop, sorry about that.
All right, you back with us? Yeah, it gives
Yeah.
everybody a little bit more respect for what the teachers are doing day to day with the whole classroom full of kids. What grade are your kids in?
My son's in third, and my daughter Grace is in fifth.
Right.
And yeah, and we actually have two teachers that live with us as well. And I was talking to one of them while she was eating, and I asked her how it was going, and she said, "Spend more time on the sending emails to the parents than anything else." I was like, "Bet you wish you were back in school, don't you?" She said,
Yeah,
"I don't think she said that."
definitely. What subjects were you tackling today?
Math, Chinese, social studies, English. I think that's what they were doing.
Right. Are they on a full day, a week schedule, or is it like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or every other day? It seems to vary around here.
It's they're expected to do lessons every day of the week. They're taking attendance, I guess, by what is actually submitted by the work that they do. So we'll see how that turns out.
Right. How about you? You're working from home, I presume?
Yeah, as of a couple weeks ago, my team was actually our headquarters office was put in a scenario where we're trying to get as many people as possible to work from home, and my team and we all work remotely anyway to some extent. But I have an office in the airport, and but I've been working from home for the last couple weeks.
We talked earlier, and I cleared this with you. I cleared it with the tower. You work for Southwest Airlines, right?
Yes, indeed, I do. Well, we're going to do a flyby, Goose.
I didn't. I didn't want to put you in a car. I'd make you step in something there or say something you weren't supposed to say. But it sounds like you've been having a decent experience, or even a positive experience, despite the circumstances. There, they seem to be taking care of their people and providing a good environment, considering everything that's going on, right?
Yeah, it's this crisis has hit the industry really, really hard. But Southwest is a great company, and spends all whenever we're in good times, prepare real well for the tough times, and as a result, we're in a good position, and the company's doing everything they can to keep from having to lay off or furlough anybody, because we've never done that in our history, and we're every day we're just trying to figure out how to keep things going and keep everyone safe and healthy.
So I haven't flown anywhere. We were supposed to actually fly on Southwest out to California for spring break last week. That's my go-to airline. Little hats off to them. No endorsement, or I did check the box on the YouTube broadcast that this is not no paid endorsements involved in this. They want to make sure. So none of that. But we were supposed to fly them. I assume that these flights are. I didn't even know. I haven't even gone to look for future. Currently, how many flights are flying? I mean, just in general in the U.S., planes are still flying. Where are they going? What are they doing?
Well, we're keeping our same routes in general. We actually obviously had to reduce the number of flights. But right now, the people that are flying are the people that have to get somewhere. You got health professionals. There's a great an article in the news today or yesterday, and we had a plane that was mostly full, and they were all healthcare workers trying to get from Atlanta to New York to help out the situation there. And we got people who are going to visit sick relatives, and it's really tough. So the government considers the airline industry part of the essential infrastructure, and we're gonna keep flying and taking care of our customers and getting where they need to be.
Right. Right. When was the last time you were in a plane flying anywhere?
I was in Houston, I think on the first week of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, twice. I traveled twice that week, and then I was supposed to travel the next week, and that was a time where we basically canceled everything. So, we're not flying anywhere unless we absolutely have to.
You mentioned that before you decided to work fully from home, you were doing a little bit of work, actually checking in over at the airport there, but somebody told you to cut that
out. Yeah, my wife is, she's real nervous about it, and I didn't want her to have a nervous breakdown or anything. So I'm staying at home, but I try and find a reason to get out whenever I can. I go to the grocery store a lot.
Right. Hey, we forgot to mention, Jim, you were supposed to remind me. We're supposed to remind each other that any of the statements made here today by you or me do not reflect the positions of Southwest Airlines, its subsidiaries, or yada yada legalese. Right? Am I correct?
That's correct. I'm speaking just as a common citizen, and nothing I say reflects anything about Southwest. It's just my opinion.
Right. You mentioned trying to get out. We talked a little bit about skiing. You're in Colorado. March is a big month for skiing out there, right?
Yeah, March is actually our snowiest month, and I've been looking forward to it all season. And about 2 weeks ago, when the state went on lockdown, all the ski resorts shut down. They actually, in the middle of the week, kicked a bunch of people out of their hotels and sent them back and just shut everything down. And as far as I know, they're going to remain closed the rest of the season. There's a couple that are at pretty high altitude that stay open sometimes till end of May or June if there's still snow, and they might open back up. But as far as the rest of the state, it's pretty much shut down.
You mentioned that there were people going on road. There were certain ways that you could make it up roadways, public roadways, into skiing areas, legal or not. But they kind of put the kibosh on that and warned people sternly not to do that. You will be ticketed or arrested or whatever, right?
Yeah, the Highway Patrol. There's a couple of high passes where you can drive your car up there and get out and put your skis or board on and ride down and catch the road a little farther down and hitch a ride. And that's something me and a bunch of buddies did about, 15 years ago or so. And it can be fun, but the Highway Patrol is discouraging anyone from doing that. And, you don't want, 10 people piling into a car with someone they don't know and possibly getting others sick. So that and the fact that the resort that's pretty close to the house, I got an email saying that they are shutting everything down and telling people that you can't come up because like I told you earlier, the thought of grabbing my snowshoes and my snowboard and walking up there occurred to me, but I think it's probably not a good idea.
Right, I would imagine. So end of March. March is over today. So, hey, which would mean April Fool's Day is tomorrow. I don't know if your kids are in earshot. You got any good April Fool's gigs or gags that you have up your sleeve? Anything yet? Anything you do annually or traditionally?
No. If I think about it ahead of time, I'll try and come up with something, but I haven't done it this year, sadly. What about you? You're kind of a jokester yourself.
I don't know. I think things are crazy enough right now. I don't need to be throwing any kind of April Fool's gags into the mix or something. I thought about opening the show. I don't know. We'll see. I'm giving too much away.
Don't give it away.
That's right. We don't give it away here. No, we do give it away. It's for free. All right, Jim, I appreciate you being a part of it. And when we started out, we wanted to just provide some contact with people, some entertaining stories. I appreciate the insight that you've given to me and to the people watching from Colorado. Is there any upcoming event that you want to promote or plug? You said your new book you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but this is a family-friendly show, so I can't really talk about it here.
Okay, signed copies. Hit me up in the chat or comments or whatever they do here. Remember to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, though, and you can be reminded of this kind of content forthcoming there. Jim, did you have anybody else who you wanted to, anybody there? Well, earlier there were a couple people walking into the background. Your kids want to say hello, or did they disappear already?
They're on the movie now. I lost them. That's more important than fame, apparently. I just want to, I think this is a good thing you're doing, Ron. Thanks for doing it. It's, anything you can do to help people connect and get through this tough time. And I watched, I don't know if it was last night's show or the night before, that WME t-shirt was absolutely fantastic. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I was trying to channel a Stuart Copeland from the back album of Zenyatta Mandata, I think it was, but I'm a little thicker than he was and a lot less hair. Though I do play drums. We got something.
Oh, well, hey, you got that in common.
Yeah, I've been trying to show off some of the homemade T-shirt creations there. I'm getting low. I need to make one, so we'll see what comes up. We'll see what shows up tomorrow if I got some time.
Sounds good.
Appreciate the affirmation there, Jim. Thanks from Colorado. Appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can check back in with you in a couple weeks if this is still going on.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a call anytime, and tell Tammy I'm going to go listen to my favorite Bon Jovi song and go to sleep to that.
Yeah, I think, Jim, you need to organize one of those a whole neighborhood singing out the window kind of thing, the Bon Jovi. My suggestion to you.
That would be good.
Lower the property values. All right, have a good night. We will talk back with you soon, all right?
Thanks, Ron. You take care. Have a good one.
Bye now.
Take care, everyone.
All right, that was Jim King joining us live from Denver, Colorado area. Honestly, got so wrapped up, I forget the community. I'll have to rewind the tape. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for Co-Video TV Live, episode number 15. We are having a good time doing this. Hope everybody appreciates what we're doing. We've got one more thing to do before we go. I just wanted to thank my brand new, recently minted musical director for hooking me up with this bump music that we come into the show and out of the show, Mr. Mike Harmon. Let's call him Mr. Michael Harmon. Before we roll out of the show, after the thanks to our musical director there, I want to say hi to some people that are joining us in the comment section. What do we got here? Joe H. It must be Joe Hofferth. I see Mike Sankowski, another bandmate. Rhonda Rosinski, hi there. Mike again. Martha Cookie Chaya, hello to my mother-in-law. Brother Lee is there. Who else? All looks good. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to roll out with this music here. Hopefully the audio stays up. Probably not. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow for episode 16.